As a printmaker, you probably have lots and lots of collage papers in your studio. They could be some jelly plate prints, they could be some monotypes on a tissue paper, on a bit of marker pad. I have tons of them and I keep them all color coded. What do you do with all these papers? How can they become useful? In this video, I want to show you how they can give you that extra lift in your painting, how useful they can be to give that extra grit to your abstract composition. I will show you how I started off with these two compositions as paintings and how we ended up finishing them with collage. Hope you enjoy the video. So I started off with painting the two pieces of paper with two types of green colour, one cooler and one warmer green. It could be any colour really you want. And then I chose a contrasting colour, which is a sort of crimson red with a lighter tone. So I diluted it with white. I muted it. And I haven't painted it with a brush. I've painted it with this, you can do it with a old credit card or any bit of plastic flat tool. So I'm working on two artworks just so I don't get attached to one and obsess over one. As well as this little plastic color shaper, I've also got like a serrated mark making tool here. As you can see, it makes these lovely lines. I really like using it, so I'm just sort of applying it in various places before the paint dries, and it's just to get a little bit of pattern poking through, just a bit of interest, but there's no kind of intention at the moment. I'm just sort of feeling my way around, and before it completely dries, I'm just sort of doing a bit of mark making with a dry point tool and with another sort of color shaping tool, just to give it some more texture. I then went for more saturated crimson red, and it just felt like I needed more depth and more contrast, so I just thought it would look really good. Again, just added some more mark making, scraped some off and used all my color shaping tools and palette knives, etc. And then I felt more saturated version of the green would be really nice here too. So I've added it again with my color shaping tool, in some places thicker than others. I quite like those sort of straight lines that you can achieve with just the edge of the tool. I think it looks quite cool. Then I went for a third colour. So this is a golden green gold. It's a beautiful colour. It's quite transparent, and I thought I'll apply it in a very different way, just with my finger and sort of smudging it, or just doing sort of applying it through a mesh with a bit of sponge. Just thought it would be really nice to add another colour, sort of complementing the composition. And here I've decided to cut out some jelly print papers. I have a stack of them. I felt black and white would be a really good one, and a pattern, because I have a lot of paint, I've got a lot of colour, and something to contrast it would be really good to get a sort of black and white pattern. I thought it would go really well. And I'm applying acrylic matte medium to glue these collage papers on. And I just find if you're just very generous with the acrylic matte medium and paint it on both sides, it works really well. And if you get any crinkles, just flattening them out with a flat plastic tool like this really helps. I find also soaking the collage paper with water can really help with the crinkling, especially if it's a tissue paper. It works really well. If you're not worried about tearing it, I mean, sometimes it happens, but it's not the end of the world. If you've got plenty of collage papers, you can always use another bit. And I didn't show it in a video, but I just kind of torn a few pieces and played with them where they would be, where I liked the look of them to be. Again, here, not much of an intention, I'm just still playing around, not thinking too much about the composition. But yeah, this is a really good way of gluing the collage paper on. It's a nice way to start shaping your composition, just adding different bits. Yeah, so this worked out quite nicely, I felt. So next part, I have mixed some white with Nicolazo gold, and just to mute the white a little bit, and with a color shaper I'm sort of adding it to my composition. I'm covering the bits that I'm not hugely keen on, and just seeing what I end up with. I just sort of exposed a little bit here. Will I keep it or not? I don't know yet. But yeah, I'm kind of picking my favorite parts and sort of painting over the bits I'm not keen on. Just a bit of more mark making using palette knife. And here I am kind of a bit more intentional about, I decided to be more intentional about where I'm going to place the white. So I'm using sticky paper as masking the areas that I want to keep, and just again with a color shaper using the same white with Nicolazo gold, some more mark making, and just adding from my palette. I had a bit of dirty palette there, so I'm just adding some more interest into the other one. I thought I'm using this opportunity to mess up, dirty up that white, for it was a little bit too white. So here's the final look after peeling off the masking tape, the masking paper. And here I'm just adding a bit more of that green gold, just smudging it on, just to break up that white. It's kind of ended up being green a little bit. I wasn't really intending it to, just ended up that way. Why not? And here, this piece of collage paper was an old bit of palette that I painted on. I thought it looked really good. It was just the right color. I just literally picked it out. I thought it looked really nice. And then I had another piece of collage paper which was just the perfect match color too, for the composition, and I just decided to add it. I made this collage paper with just finding some plants in my garden and imprinting them on tissue paper. But they just work so well. The colours just look fantastic. So I've just added them on to the composition. I guess it just breaks up nicely the lines. I've got some very harsh lines there. It's kind of nicely sort of breaking up that clean line. Yeah, so just playing about. Really what I've been doing is picking the right colours of some collage papers from my box and sort of cutting them up and thinking, oh yeah, maybe it will look good here. So again, this was a palette, a bit of palette that I had left over from a painting, and it was white. It was sort of cream white, and it looked, I wanted to add a texture to my white and spice it up a bit. And just adding these collage papers of just the perfect sort of colours I had in my box, it's nicely breaking up those flat surfaces. And what I love about collaging is that you can test it out before you glue it on. So you don't feel like you're going to ruin your painting. You can just think, oh yeah, that looks really good there. I'm going to add this. So this was another bit of jelly print paper, and it was just the right color. That kind of, I had that green gold color jelly paper in my box. You can see on the left I've picked something as well, but I decided not to put it on in the end because it just was too strong. So I'm going for very muted collage papers and just adding them on my white bits, only to just break up the monotony of the white and just make it more interesting by adding collage papers there. So yeah, the intention is starting to become clear. You know what the composition is becoming here, and yes, just making it, giving it more layers and more interest with the different collage papers. I have a really good color-coded collage paper box, so I was able to pick the colors. I started to obsess a little bit about the one on the right later on, and kind of I was a bit bothered with the white and started to make it a bit more yellow. Whether it was the right decision or not, I don't know, but I felt I needed to mute this part with the black and white collage paper. I didn't like the shape and it didn't feel right, so I sort of decided to put some see-through collage papers over it. The more sort of fragile the tissue is that you make those jelly prints on, the better it is for see-through. It might not always be a wet strength tissue paper, it might tear a bit. If you don't mind that, I don't always use wet strength tissue paper. Yeah, that bit looked a little bit like football, so I decided to put some collage paper over that. As you can see, I'm using a little water bath here to wet the paper first. That is really good to prevent crinkling. So yeah, I'm just sort of playing about. I started to really enjoy doing the one on the right and got a bit crazy about it. But yeah, that's what felt right at the time, and that's what I wanted to do. Whatever was the right thing or not, I felt that was it. I didn't know what to add anymore, so went back to the one on the left. Then played about more with the one on the right. Couldn't quite decide. That's a good thing about collage papers. You see, you can just sort of add bits on, decide maybe not, see what it looks like before you stick it on. Anyway, I called it a day. Whatever it's finished or not, I don't know. It looks a bit like an ant and an elephant. But yeah, I think I prefer this one. I'm more happy with this one. Might work a bit more on those, who knows? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this demo, and I hope I inspired you to play around with collage papers. It's really good fun, and it can really add to your abstract composition. Thanks for watching.